Good evening and welcome to ESPN, your most valued network for all your environmental science needs. My name is Megan Rodriguez.
And my name is Samantha Lara.
Oh, that's where all the weather happens, you know? We have the Earth, and we have the troposphere. Do you want to talk about the stratosphere?
We have our stratosphere, which is where the ozone layer is, and the ozone layer protects from
Harmful UV rays that can cause cancer to our skin. Next we have the mesosphere, and that's basically the only place where meteors burn up before they enter the other closer layers of the atmosphere.
And then above that, we have the thermosphere, which is where we have a lot of the temperature increase.
Yes, global warming, climate change, it's a thing. It's not a myth. And then finally we have the exosphere, and that's basically where satellites roam around and take pictures of our Earth and, you know, take our information, steal our news. Oh, I can't say that, right? No, I can say no. Okay. But these are our 5 layers of the atmosphere.
Okay, so let's talk about the Montreal Protocol. So the Montreal Protocol is an agreement between global powers to protect the ozone layer by ruling out / taking away the production of consumption of ozone depleting substances. So the goal is to repair the ozone layer or stop it from fully depleting. And this protocol is said to have the ozone layer return to its original being, which was before all these substances started to doing their damage on the ozone layer. And this ozone layer helps us in preventing UV rays from entering the Earth. So UV rays cause a lot of cancer, and some research shows that a 1% decrease in the ozone layer means a 5% increase in cancer.
So, what can we do to stop the depleting of our ozone?
Well, we can buy air conditioning and refrigeration equipment that do not use HCFCs as a refrigerant. And we can even buy aerosol products that do not use HCFCs or CFCs as propellants, because, as you know, aerosol products are one of the main contributors to our greenhouse.
So before getting into the greenhouse gas effect, what is the greenhouse gas effect exactly? Well, it's the warming of the Earth's surface and the air above it. And this is when the greenhouse gases, these right here, carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and other fluorinated gases, get trapped in the Earth's atmosphere and cause higher temperatures on Earth, which leads us to global warming. So let's talk about El Nino. And I know what you're thinking. No, it's not a little Mexican kid. El Nino is when normal trade winds are weakened or reversed due to the reversal of high and low pressure regions on either side of the tropical Pacific. El Nino is known to bring warmer temperatures and more precipitation to regions in the tropical Pacific.
Whoa. Can we get some girl power up in here? Let's talk about La Nina for a second here. So La Nina is periods below average sea temperatures around the east central equatorial Pacific. La Nina is the cold phase of the ENSO cycle and is said to be the opposite of El Nino, as it represents lower temperatures globally. Usually, a La Nina will have winter temperatures that are warmer than normal in the southeast and cooler than normal in the northwest. Welcome. Today we're going to be talking about changes in global climate. Let us start with ice cores. Now, ice cores and tree cores work in the same way, as they can tell us history of some of the Earth's climate. Every layer of ice tells us what the Earth's climate was like at that time that the snow fell to create that layer of ice. The layers also hold particles such as dust and pollen, which help to provide evidence of past occurrences. Greenhouse gases also get stuck between the layers, creating air pockets, which are considered fossils. By taking samples of these fossils, scientists are able to measure the greenhouse gases at the time that were in the atmosphere.
And now let's continue with tree cores. Within the cores of the tree stump, we can see rings that tell us the age of the tree and what kind of weather was occurring at that time. Light-colored rings represent wood which grew around early spring and early summer, whereas dark rings show us wood that grew around late summer and the fall. Scientists rely on these natural tree rings to add the studying of our weather and climate from many years past.
And now let's finish it off with coral. Now, coral can be highly affected by climate change. By studying coral, we are able to see how climate is changing and how it can affect certain organisms. Corals are extremely sensitive to temperature change. If the water is warmer than usual for a long period of time, the chemical they use for food leaves the coral tissue. By losing this chemical, corals turn white and unhealthy, which makes them weak and less likely to survive certain diseases. This just shows how harsh a little change in temperature can have on the effect of some organisms, such as coral.
Changes in sea level are becoming a major effect of global climate change. Here's Sam with more about that.
Thank you, Maggie. Yes, sea level changes are becoming a major global effect.
Can you give me any causes or examples?
Well, one of the main causes of sea level changes is global warming. Because of hotter temperatures, many glaciers and ice caps are melting, which is adding more water to our oceans. This sea level rise has worsened flooding and majorly affected the tides. Another example of sea level change deals with the term isostatic change.
Whoa, big words there, Sam. Can you explain what isostatic is?
Well, isostatic deals with a change due to a decrease or increase in land height. So with an increase in land height, the sea levels fall, but with a decrease in land height, the sea level rises.
Alright, so now let's wrap up our discussion with changes in biota.
Well, biota deals with the basic ecosystem for organisms. However, ecosystems can be very sensitive, as any little animal routine can cause a change for the entire ecosystem. For example, a parasite. Now, a parasite can cause a large number of disease, which affects population by slowing it down.
But it just means a slowing down in population, so what's really the big deal?
Well, Maggie, this population slowdown can possibly result in an overall death of the entire ecosystem. So, say this parasite only affected the rats of the ecosystem. Then the rat population decreases, causing the population of the animals who relied on eating the rats to decrease, which all just results back to an ecosystem death.
Wow.
Breaking news from our outside reporter. Let's take a look.
Thank you, Sam. Yes, I'm out here in the freezing cold. I hope you can hear me, but we're here to talk about positive feedback loops in climate. Scientists are aware of a number of positive feedback loops in climate system. One example is melting ice. What a coincidence, right? Because ice is light-colored and reflective, a large portion of the sunlight that hits it is bounced back to space, which limits the amount of warming that it causes. But as the world gets hotter, ice melts, obviously, and it reveals a darker colored land or water below. The result is that more of the sun's energy is absorbed, leading to more warming, which leads to the ice melting, and so on. The polar bears die, the ice melts. And getting into climate change and global warming are already beginning to transform life on Earth. Without action, the impact of climate change threatens to catastrophically damage our world. But by rallying people together around the world and to be a part of the solution, together we can have the power to limit the effects of climate change. Earth's temperatures in 2015 were the hottest ever recorded. Why does this matter? Because even a change of 1 degree Fahrenheit, which may sound small, can upset the delicate balance of ecosystems and affect plants, and animals that inhabit them. As temperatures rise and the air becomes warmer and more moisture evaporates land and water into the atmosphere, more moisture in the air generally means that we can expect more rain and snow, called precipitation, and more heavy downpours. But this extra precipitation is not evenly spread around the globe, and some places might actually get less precipitation than they should. That's because climate change causes shifts in air and ocean currents, which can change our weather patterns.
Okay, so now before getting into the Kyoto Protocol, what is it, right? Well, the prompter over here is saying that the Kyoto Protocol is an international agreement that aims to reduce CO2 emissions and the presence of greenhouse gases. So the objective of the Kyoto Protocol is to achieve stabilization of greenhouse gas concentrations in the atmosphere at a level that will prevent dangerous anthropogenic interference with climate systems. So we have 137 developing countries that have ratified the protocol, including Brazil, China, and India, but have no obligation beyond monitoring and reporting their emissions. The U.S. is the only developed country that has not yet ratified the treaty and is one of the most significant greenhouse gas emitters. Yeah, that's it. America, land of the free and home of the greenhouse gas emitters.
Oh yeah, and don't even get me started on carbon offsets.
I don't think I'm familiar with those. What are they?
Well, carbon offsets are reductions in emissions of CO2 or greenhouse gases made in order to compensate for or to offset emissions made elsewhere.
Oh, well, are you familiar with the Paris Accord?
I don't think I am. What is that?
The Paris Climate Accord is an agreement within the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, or the UNFCCC, dealing with greenhouse gas emissions, migration, adaptation, and finance starting in the year 2020. 195 countries signed the Paris Accord. If President Trump makes good on his campaign pledge to withdraw from the U.S. from the Paris Climate Agreement, the nation will be allied environmentally speaking with Nicaragua and Syria. But hey, want to hear a joke?
Oh, do tell.
What's the difference between a chicken and the Kyoto Protocol?
I have no idea.
One is a domestic fowl, and the other is an international convention on climate change.
Maggie, please don't quit your day job.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again.
But seriously, what can we as humans do to stop the worsening of climate change?
Well, if we really want to help, change our modes of transportation. Use the cleanest mode of transportation, walking or biking. This creates zero greenhouse gases beyond those produced while making the bikes and the food that we eat.